Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
Final Destination Bloodlines introduces a fascinating twist to the franchise's established formula by presenting us with a protagonist whose premonitions aren't about her own imminent death, but are instead inherited visions from her grandmother's past. This unique approach to the series' signature premonition mechanic raises intriguing questions about how death's design works across generations and suggests that the ability to glimpse death's plans might be passed down through bloodlines, just like vulnerability to death's design itself. The film opens with Steph Reyes struggling through college due to a recurring nightmare that's preventing her from sleeping and focusing on her studies. Unlike the sudden, violent premonitions that protagonists in previous Final Destination films experience right before a disaster, Steph's visions have been plaguing her for 2 months. These dreams always feature the same scenario: a restaurant called the Skyview Tower where a dance floor breaks, causing a gas explosion and building collapse that kills everyone inside. What makes Steph's situation particularly unique is that she's experiencing someone else's premonition, her maternal grandmother Iris Campbell's vision from 1968. Steph has never met Iris and initially has no idea why she's dreaming about a disaster from over 50 years ago. She doesn't even know if Iris is still alive. This mystery drives Steph to return home, hoping to find answers about these disturbing visions and their connection to her estranged grandmother. When Steph tracks down Iris at her isolated cabin in the woods, she learns the truth about her dreams. "It wasn't just your dream," Iris explains. "It was my premonition." She reveals that when she was at the Skyview Tower with her fiancé Paul in 1968, she had a vision of the impending disaster and managed to warn people before the glass floor cracked, saving numerous lives. But by disrupting Death's plan, she set in motion a chain of events where Death hunted down the survivors one by one, eventually coming for their descendants, including Steph and her family. What's most intriguing about this setup is the timing of Steph's visions. When she asks why she started having these dreams, Iris reveals that she was diagnosed with terminal cancer 2 months ago, precisely when Steph's nightmares began. "See? It's a sign," Iris says, suggesting a supernatural connection between her impending death and Steph's sudden ability to see her premonition. This temporal link implies that as Iris approaches death, her psychic burden is somehow being transferred to her granddaughter. This concept of inherited premonitions represents a significant evolution in the Final Destination mythology. Previous films in the series featured characters who received premonitions about disasters they were about to experience, with no indication that this ability had any hereditary component. Bloodlines suggest that the power to glimpse death's design might be passed down through bloodlines, just like vulnerability to death's plan itself. The mechanism behind this transfer is never explicitly explained, but several possibilities are hinted at throughout the film. One theory is that as Iris nears death, her connection to death's design weakens, allowing her original premonition to seek a new vessel within the same bloodline. Since Steph is the oldest female descendant of Iris, after her mother Darlene, she becomes the natural recipient of this psychic burden. Another possibility is that the premonition transfer is defensive rather than passive, a deliberate attempt by some force, whether Iris's subconscious or some higher power, to warn the remaining family members of the danger they face. As Iris tells Steph, "When the universe speaks, you pay attention." This suggests that the visions are a form of communication, not just a random psychic phenomenon. The inheritance of premonitions and bloodlines also connects to the film's broader theme of generational trauma and legacy. Just as death's design has followed Iris's bloodline down through the generations, so too has the ability to perceive that design. This creates a poetic symmetry. The same blood connection that puts Steph in danger also gives her the tools to potentially save herself and her family. As the film progresses, we see that Steph doesn't just inherit Iris's original premonition, but begins to develop her own intuitive understanding of death's patterns. After witnessing her Uncle Howard's death and learning about her grandmother's research, Steph starts to recognize the signs of death's approach in the present day. When Iris's book confuses her, Steph relies increasingly on her own instincts to predict danger. This evolution of Steph's abilities is demonstrated during the scene where Eric confronts her about her death curse theory. As he mockingly approaches various potential hazards, a tree trimmer, kids with a soccer ball, and a truck, Steph frantically warns him away, imagining elaborate chains of events that could lead to his death. The trimmer could fall and hit the leaf blower guy, which causes him to blow stuff into the kid's eyes and then take the ball on his face. She explains, showing an increasingly sophisticated understanding of death's complex designs. This scene suggests that Steph is not just passively experiencing her grandmother's visions, but actively developing the same talent Iris had for anticipating death's moves. As Iris tells Steph when they meet, "I taught myself how to see him coming, to anticipate his every move." Steph appears to be inheriting not just specific visions, but the underlying perceptive ability itself. The transfer of premonitions and bloodlines also offers a new perspective on the nature of the visions themselves. In previous Final Destination films, premonitions were typically presented as inexplicable one-time events, with little exploration of why certain individuals receive them. By establishing a hereditary component, Bloodlines suggests that the ability might be a latent potential within certain bloodlines, only activating under specific circumstances. This hereditary aspect raises fascinating questions about other characters in the franchise. Could the protagonists from previous films have family histories involving premonitions? Might their descendants someday experience similar visions? The concept opens up numerous storytelling possibilities for future installments, potentially connecting disparate characters through shared psychic heritage. Interestingly, the inherited premonitions and bloodlines also come with inherited paranoia. When Darlene explains why she abandoned her family, she describes experiencing the same obsessive fear that plagued Iris. "When I had you and your brother, all I could see were 100 different ways that you and Charlie could die." This suggests that even without explicit visions, Iris's descendants share her heightened awareness of potential dangers, a blessing and a curse that shapes their perception of the world. The film also explores how these inherited abilities affect relationships across generations. Howard and Darlene rejected their mother's warnings as paranoid delusions, creating a rift in the family that lasted decades. When Steph begins experiencing similar visions and making similar warnings, she faces the same skepticism and dismissal. The cyclical nature of this family dynamic, the visionary warning of danger, only to be dismissed as crazy, adds emotional weight to the supernatural elements of the story. As Steph embraces her inherited ability, she also begins to understand the burden it represents. Like Iris before her, she faces the challenge of convincing others of invisible dangers and watching helplessly as those who don't believe her fall victim to death's design. This shared experience creates a posthumous connection between Steph and the grandmother she never knew, bridging the generational gap that family conflict had created. The inherited visions also serve an important narrative function by connecting past and present in a tangible way. By experiencing her grandmother's premonition from 1968, Steph literally sees through Iris's eyes, creating an intimate connection across time. This allows the film to establish its historical backstory without relying solely on exposition, making the Skyview Tower disaster feel immediate and relevant rather than distant history. There's also a symbolic dimension to Steph's inherited visions. As she learns more about her family history, the visions become a metaphor for intergenerational trauma and the ways family patterns repeat across time. Just as Steph cannot escape her nightmares about the Skyview Tower, she cannot escape her connection to Iris and the fate that follows her bloodline. The visions represent the inescapable nature of family history and genetic legacy. By the end of the film, Steph has fully stepped into her grandmother's role as the family psychic guardian. During the climactic sequence at Iris's cabin, she demonstrates an intuitive understanding of Death's approach that mirrors Iris's abilities. "He's about to make a move," she warns. "I don't know what it is. We need to get you inside now." This evolution from confused victim to knowledgeable protector marks Steph's complete inheritance of her grandmother's psychic legacy. Unfortunately, even this inherited ability isn't enough to save Steph and Charlie from death's design. In the film's final sequence, they realize that Steph was never actually dead when Charlie revived her. She was merely unconscious, meaning they failed to break death's chain. Moments later, a train derailment sends logs crashing into them, killing them both. This tragic ending emphasizes that while premonitions might offer warning, they don't guarantee escape from death's ultimate design. The concept of inherited visions in Final Destination Bloodlines represents one of the most innovative additions to the franchise's mythology. By suggesting that premonitions can be passed down through bloodlines, the film adds new depth to the series' exploration of fate, family, and the possibility of glimpsing the future. This fresh approach maintains the essence of what makes Final Destination work, while expanding its supernatural framework in intriguing new directions.